Alrighty, YouTube. I'm at my client's office right now. There's no one here right now, so I just finished up some work. When I came in here, there was someone here, but they left, and so I'm just wrapping it up so I can get home. But I did some work already. I found this interesting article: 10 predictions for Windows 8 Revisited is the name of the article. Okay, it's telling me that enable links and other functionality. Okay, it's telling me that was a phishing website, but it isn't. It's from Tech Republic Daily Digest. So I'm going to go to it right now and kind of view this article. It's right there. I will publish this article in the links below. But what it's saying is that ARM support. This one was kind of a gimme. Microsoft announced that Windows 8 would run on ARM long before I compiled my list of predictions. Technically, however, it isn't Windows 8 that runs on ARM, but rather a Windows 8 variant called Windows RT. Okay, we all know that. When you purchase the Microsoft Surface RT version, it's not exactly Windows 8, but it's more like a tablet version of Windows 8. You're going to have desktop functionality on the RT version, so you will be able to run some applications, but keep in mind that some of the features and a lot of the the performance won't be as great than if you get the Windows 8 Pro version, which will give you the same performance as a laptop of some sort. Now, separation from the server, my second prediction was that Microsoft might have to get away from developing Windows Desktop and Windows Client in parallel. My reason was that the two operating systems were becoming too different, especially with Windows 8 beginning to support ARM processors. Obviously, I got this prediction dead wrong. Microsoft designed Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012 as a part of the same development cycle. So that's great. Because before, Windows Server and Windows, the regular Windows usually were released in two separate versions. So, but in this case, they're going to release both versions pretty much at the same time. Not exactly the same time, but it's going to be, one after another. So we're expecting to see Windows Server 2012 to be released pretty soon here, and so people can upgrade their servers. OS on the diet. For as long as I can remember, people have complained that Windows is an overly bloated operating system. In fact, one of the reasons why Windows Vista never caught on was that it was bloated and ran slowly. That's true. My prediction was that Microsoft was going to dramatically reduce the size of the Windows 8 operating system. I based prediction on the idea that the OS would have to run on PCs, ARM devices such as tablets and phones, and will run from a USB flash drive. That's great. We're coming to a point where mobility is becoming huge. And iPad and Android tablet gives you the ability to be mobile. It doesn't give you 100% laptop-like features and performance, but it does give you the ability to check your emails, open up certain documents, and take care of business. So I believe that the ability to run an OS on a little flash drive is great. We won't know for sure how large Windows 8 will be until it's released. As far as I know, it's pretty huge. A lot larger than Windows 7. Maybe they'll trim that down when they remove the desktop altogether. Now keep in mind, folks, I'm going to give you a prediction of my own. Desktop is going to go away. In fact, Windows is even the wrong word. It's wrong. It's not called Windows anymore. It shouldn't be. It should be Microsoft Metro 8. Really? And Metro is going to take over. Keep in mind. People are saying, oh, the desktop. No. The desktop is going to go away. Get used to it. Okay? It's just going to happen. And people who cannot adjust to change, sorry, it's going to happen. It may not happen with Windows 8, but it's going to happen either with Windows 9 or Windows 10. In fact, it shouldn't be called Windows anymore. It should be called Metro. Microsoft Metro. Okay? And Yeah, just get used to it. It's worth noticing that Microsoft's latest system requirements for the Windows 8 release preview are 16 gigs of RAM, or disk space, 32-bit, or in 20 gigabytes for 64-bit of disk space. All right, that's the phone of my client, so I'm not going to answer because I'm not an agent here. These are identical to the system requirements for Windows 7. Now, number 4. It's annoying. Shut up. Didn't I tell it to shut up? Thank you. Goodbye to 32-bit support. I agree with that. I totally support the fact that we're going to get rid of 32-bit systems. But there are thousands, millions of people that have 32-bit systems, and Microsoft may have to continue to support 32-bit just for a little bit longer, but make sure that from now on, every computer that's built, every single computer that's made, Microsoft should require that every system is 64-bit so that in the next 5 years, people will start replacing their computers with tablets or tablet-like systems like the Microsoft Surface, which is a tablet and a laptop. It's going to be 64-bit. So let's get rid of 32-bit, but it's going to take a while for every single desktop computer, every single laptop to be replaced. So don't do that yet. Require the manufacturers to do 64-bit, but don't stop support on 32-bit only. Virtual plugins. My pre-prediction needs a little bit explaining. I said that Windows 7 was actually a model for Windows 8 in some ways. As you will recall, Microsoft offers something called Windows XP mode and some additions of Windows 7. With Windows XP mode, Windows XP runs as a virtual machine, but in a rather unique way. Users can either use the Windows XP desktop or they can run applications transparently through the Windows 7 desktop, even though those applications are actually running on Windows XP. My prediction was that Microsoft will use the same model for Windows 8. I thought that instead of providing backward compatibility to legacy operating systems within the Windows 8 kernel, Microsoft will create virtual instances of legacy operating systems that function as a plug-in to Windows 8. Microsoft chose not to design Windows 8 in the same way. Instead, it is including Hyper-V in the desktop operating system so that users may use it to run virtual machines. Now, in the past, this is the number 6 prediction, and this is all done by an author named Brian Posey. Again, I'll include the link in the description. Heavy reliance on the cloud. There was a time where I believe in having everything my own. I wanted my own server. I wanted my storage to be there. I wanted a big-ass hard drive. But then as time went on, I began to lose stuff. Hard drives break down. In fact, I had a 1 terabyte hard drive filled with every single CD. And this is what I did. I ripped all my CDs because I collected CDs for years, and I had over 2,000 CDs. So little by little, I will rip one CD at a time because I wanted to get rid of my collection because I moved around too much. And if you're going to be in a house for a very long time, that's great. Keep your CD collection, put it, on your wall, and have it for display when you have guests over. But when moving around too much was an issue, it was too hard to move around 2,000 CDs, 200 DVDs, and stuff like that. So I decided that I should rip them all, buy a 1 terabyte hard drive, and that will be my music player. And it was a pretty small unit. It was like something like this, but thicker. It was thicker, longer, but it was about that size. And it was nice. And it was lightweight. I can just wrap it up in clothing, put it into my luggage, or maybe I can get a small case for it. So if I had to move, I could put it in the case and keep it protected. One day, I plugged it in to my computer because I was ripping some more music, and it burnt. I still got the hard drive. I just have been too lazy to take it apart to see if the hard drive is burnt, because I'm hoping that it's the electronics in it and not the actual hard drive that got burnt. So heavy reliance on the cloud. Now, when you trust the cloud, the same thing can happen. Earthquakes can damage the servers, tornadoes, any unforeseen issue that can have fires. And so when you have stuff like that, your investment into the cloud at the same time is not perfect either. However, it is more reliable than having it in your house. So what I suggest is have a backup at home, and then you also have a backup in the cloud. In that way, you don't have to worry about losing your materials. So my sixth prediction, this is what Brian said. My sixth prediction was that Windows 8 will be heavily focused on the cloud. After all, over the past couple of years, Microsoft has gone all in with the investment in cloud technology. I predicted that Windows 8 would enable cloud applications appear to users as if they are installed and running locally. I use SkyDrive. I even use SkyDrive for all my videos on sHiZ. So when I add a file to my SkyDrive folder, which is on my desktop, it's on my computer. The files are on my computer, but it automatically synchronizes everything I do to my SkyDrive account. So that's great. And why not? I was fortunate that I had over 6 gigs of stuff already on SkyDrive. And when SkyDrive went from 25 gigs down to 7 gigs for free, they maintained my 25 gigs for anybody who had over 4 gigs of stuff on SkyDrive. So I'm not paying for that 25 gigs, but when I get to a point where I need to upgrade, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pay for it because it's nice to have my computer, my hard drive, my external hard drive as a backup, and then the cloud for whenever I need it. Native support for virtual apps. My sixth prediction was that Windows 8 would feature native support for sandbox applications. For example, I predict that Internet Explorer will run in a sandbox environment as a way of preventing malicious websites from infecting the system. But rather than designing Internet Explorer to run as a sandbox virtual application, Microsoft introduced enhanced protected mode and a number of other new security features. One of the big reasons why Microsoft decided not to completely sandbox Internet Explorer was that it wanted to prevent Internet Explorer's ability to interact with other desktop applications. Okay. Number 8, a bigger distinction between the consumer and the enterprise versions. My 8th prediction was that Microsoft would make the professional version of Windows 8 small and lightweight, but would load up the consumer version with lots of extras that aren't found in a professional version. In actuality, Microsoft is making a distinction between the various versions of Windows 8 and Windows RT, but aside from the fact that Windows RT will include Microsoft Office pre-installed, it is the Windows 8 Enterprise Edition that will see the vast majority of the features that aren't included in other versions. So there's a comparison chart. I'll put that comparison chart in the link below as well. Hardware to drive software sales. My 9th prediction was that Microsoft would use support for specialized hardware to woo customers back to PC environments. I fully expected Windows 8 to have native support for the Kinect sensor, for example, even though I seem to have gotten that prediction wrong. One can say that Microsoft has used hardware to drive sales in the form of Microsoft Surface tablets. A new name. A new name. Here's what I'm talking about. My prediction was that the operating system would not be Windows 8. Every few years, Microsoft marketing team likes to switch things up and rename products, and it just seemed like it was the time for Windows to be rebranded. From a PC perspective, I got the prediction wrong. However, the ARM version of Windows 8 was named Windows RT, stands for Windows Runtime. So I guess I wasn't completely off base. Well, because the OS is Metro style, and they're slowly, I'm going to predict that Microsoft's going to get rid of the desktop in Windows 9 and Windows 10. But until then, I think they should call it Microsoft Metro. Why not? So that's it for that article. I really like this article because it has some really good points. There's also a link to what you can expect for Windows 8, and I'm going to talk about that further at another time. Outside of that, you guys have a great afternoon, and thank you.